What's up, guys? Happy Thursday night to you. Oh, man, we have a special live stream tonight because this is the second time I am having Coleman back on the show. If you missed the first time he was on, it was the most popular live stream I've done. We had over 15,000 people watching it. And at first, I thought it was just because my hair was on point that day. I remember saying to myself, Brad, this is the live stream. Your hair looks amazing. It's never going to get better than this. And then I looked at the comments, and it was because Coleman was dropping nuggets of gold everywhere. And the conversation was something so special that I believe it transcended sports cards, and that's why it related so much to you guys. But he's going to be back on, and I mentioned that prior live stream because I don't want to be duplicating that conversation. Instead, I want to be building off of it. And if you guys saw my video earlier this week, I went to my first card show here in California, period, and only my second card show since I was a kid. The first one was back in Florida in August, and I truly believe that we can make more money, we could save more money, and we could have a lot more fun in this hobby or industry or investment vehicle, however you want to look at it, by dealing locally, because a lot of the magic is done face-to-face. And so Coleman is the master of that. He does a lot of his business here in LA. And of course, he's going to be able to make more money, save more money, and meet more people along the way. So we'll be going over how he does that. Before I introduce you to him or bring him on, a couple of housekeeping notes. Number one is some of you guys have been asking about how to build a YouTube station or tips or for me to check out your station. I did an unlisted live stream that you guys can check out. It's going to be in the video description of every video I upload. It's just a default thing. So you click on there. It's about 45 minutes long, and I just rattle off all the stuff I've learned from my training on YouTube if you guys are serious about it. Second of all, I want to sell my cards locally as well, and I want to sell to you guys at a discount if possible. So I am putting my listings up on eBay, obviously, but also on my website. So if there is a card that I'm listing, you can go to the comebackcardinvestor.com/cards for sale. And I try to keep that up to date with eBay. That way, if you want to avoid eBay, it works for me as well. I just want to make it simple. Third of all, okay, I had my 10K giveaway winners. I picked 3 of them, and I put them in the community post earlier in the week. 2 out of the 3 emailed me. The third did not, which means that we will be giving away another prize tonight to one of the semifinalists that I did not pick. But Coleman is actually going to be doing the picking. So if he picks you, you could still thank me because I'm giving you the prize. If he does not pick you, you could blame him because it's his fault. Let's see here. Also, I had a couple giveaways for my newsletter subscribers. None of the winners responded, so now I'm going to be picking backups. And so if you don't open the email, then you can't win. Last of all, and I'm going to get Coleman in on this. I'm going to bring Coleman in now, and then I have one more thing to bring up that one of you guys had asked me to show on this upcoming stream. So hold on a second. Coleman, what's up, man?
What's going on, Brad?
I got you right in the middle of your coffee.
Right. No, it's water this time. Water this time. But yeah, you caught me.
Right. Yeah, there's some Hennessy in there. There's vodka, whatever.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Dude, it's funny, man. I have my giant thermos here, and this thing has traveled the world with me. This is about $25 from Walmart. I got piping hot tea in here, so I have like my chamomile tea now. But water, coffee, smoothie, and I've even put hot food in here and just left it for hours and hours. But this has saved me thousands of dollars. Like, I've traveled everywhere with it. It keeps me from buying a $20 meal every time I travel because I'll always put in my green smoothie or something hot. And then I get to just save that $20 and roll it over into something.
Wow, that's brilliant. I got to get one of those. We got to talk after this about that.
Dude, for sure, man. Dude, I will outJew you any day, man. I mean, I know you're pretty good at saving money, but I'm like hardcore Jew at it. But the last thing I wanted to bring up before I say hi to you guys in the comment section and we dive into the content is this comment right here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so Nicholas right here has this auction. He actually messaged me. He said, hey, how much would you charge? I'm going to have to stop this share and then go back and open it. He has a 2003, 2004 exquisite LeBron James. And he said, hey, Brad, how much would you charge me to have you mention this? So let me show you the card right here. And I said, for one, I didn't even know that that's what he was asking, because a lot of people ask about what is the value of a card, and then usually my answer is like, you got to look at the data and then see where it's going. But he wanted to bring attention to this auction right here, 2003, 2004 LeBron RPA BGS 8.5, and it ends, I think, on March 6th. So I said, hey man, I'll at least bring it up on my live stream. So I don't know if you have any thoughts of this card, if you've had one in the past, or if you know someone that has. Do you have any reaction to seeing this card here on Golden?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful card. A little bit undervalued right now. We're probably going to see a historic sale price on this one right here. It is his third best patch auto from the set. But that being said, any patch auto from 2003 Exquisite with LeBron on it is a massive card. It is gorgeous. It's got a beautiful bright blue auto, 2-color patch. 8.5 is a beautiful grade for Exquisite. I mean, I'm drooling over it right now. It's a beautiful card.
There you go. Well, if anyone is interested, it is on Golden Auctions, and that is Nicholas that asked for it. So I appreciate you, Nicholas, for reaching out, and hopefully people will take note. So that's beyond my realm. That's like holy grail stuff. I'm still at like bottom feeding right now, but still working my way up. Let me say hi to some of you guys here in the comment section. JJ Bama is in the house. Yeah, PSA 5 Walmart thermos. Dude, this thing is beat up. And I don't know if you saw the movie The Accountants with Ben Affleck, but he kind of had like a thermos that he would kill people with. It's kind of my thing, where it's a great weapon if you fill it with like water or sand or something, because you just knock someone out. But $25, you can't go wrong. Let's see. Harrison, what's up, man? Increasing prices. I don't know. I thought that was just a rumor. Do you know if they're doing that for sure?
They certainly will be on March 1st. Absolutely. And the site has actually shut down as of tonight from people trying to get their last minute orders in under the current pricing.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that. So what do you think right off the bat? What do you think that effect is going to have on the hobby or the industry, as well as other grading companies? Do you think that's enough to move people to another company? Or is it more like, look, you're the only one that is really leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. We just have to take it and go with it?
I think most people will go with the latter there. They will just say, look, you're the best, and we're going to go with it. They're going to get a lot more picky about what they're submitting. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be submitting Kawhi Leonard 2018-19 Revolution base cards. Mm. They're not going to be submitting that in bulk. They're going to be actually submitting things that deserve to be graded. Because right now it's like you can just grade any card in the world and the value goes up by 5x. So people are submitting hundreds and hundreds of cards that have no business being graded. And I think that's a big thing that will get cut down on by this price increase.
Yeah, and I was wondering if that would open the door to another company or service that could do the lower end stuff at $10 a card and just say, we'll take the cheap stuff. But maybe if it's a third-year Kawhi Leonard, like silver, and it's like, look, you're not going to be in a rush. It might take a year for us, but we'll do it at $10. And maybe some people will do that. I just think PSA has so much power. They could do whatever. And I'm honestly not upset, because I kind of want more money to be in, just because I know that if you make more than you lose, if you have a winning strategy overall, I would rather just do it with higher numbers, because if you're winning 55% of the time, I'd rather win 55% of the time with, thousands and thousands of dollars than with just hundreds and hundreds, because the more money involved that you can win more than you lose, the more you can actually pay bills and do other things with. So to me, I'm cool with that. I thought this was a pretty cool comment by Kyle. Is that a Coleman thermos? Yeah.
Coleman, yeah. Also the flotation, or what is it? Fishing tubes, foldable lawn chairs, butane lamps, all the Coleman supplies.
It's kind of funny that your name's Coleman, you live in California, and you're an outdoor guy. So like everything is related to outdoors anyway. So you're going trail running Saturday, right?
Correct.
Of course you are. Correct.
All right, in the dark, by the way. In the dark with a headlamp. It's not a Coleman headlamp, but it's a headlamp.
What's the point of doing it that early or in the night? Is it more fun that way?
It's not more fun. It's actually terrifying. But the point of doing it is the fact that in order to do it and go to the card show, make the card show on time, I have to go earlier when the sun's not out. So it's just how I get it in and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that brings up another point. What's the card show this weekend? Because I know it's Fullerton, Westminster, and what's the other one? Garden City or Garden Grove or something?
Garden Grove. It is called the Aristocrat Dog Grooming Show.
Very
because
professional.
it's a dog grooming store. There will not be any dog grooming going on at this card show. It just takes place in a store which also does dog grooming. So it's called the Aristocrat Dog Grooming Show or something like that. The show locator at the show locator on Instagram is a great way to find all the information you need on that show. And Garden Grove this weekend, 9:00.
Okay, and I mentioned in my last video, the show locator, he's looking to do shows all over the country. So if you have shows in Alabama or New York or wherever, submit the flyer to him and he'll do his best to post it. And can you tell me his name? Do you remember his name?
Donald. He is amazing.
Donald. Okay, yeah, Donald. Yeah, I met him at the show. Here's the thing. Let's dive right into that because it was so much fun to go to the show. It's great to see people face-to-face talking about cards rather than just on YouTube or podcast or Instagram or anything like that. But I also thought to myself, man, the pain points in this hobby are taxes, fees, scams, and everything online is just very transactional. And if you're able to go in person and sell a card and just have it be done instantly, not worry about returns, and save the other person money, you save yourself money and time and all that, why not do it? And I also believe that with COVID ending, my initial fear was that people would go on vacations. Cards would just kind of disappear. People would be like, all right, let's get back to Carnival Cruise Lines and flying to Europe and all this. And I'm starting to think that card shows could be huge because now people will travel regionally and then nationally to these card shows, which should be bigger and better than before. So what are your thoughts of card shows overall in the next year? Is there anything that you see that might contradict what I'm saying? Do you see like anything with that card show the last couple of weeks that's different than card shows you went to prior to COVID?
They're just getting bigger and bigger every single week. I mean, the one 2 weeks ago, so I mean, we can even say the one that you went to at Westminster. That one has been going on for a while. And a year ago, it was like 5 tables. And it's like you walked into it and it was like, it just had this rinky-dinky feel to it. Like there wasn't much. I mean, I'm not talking badly about the show. Like Jay and Kobe do a great job. It's just there wasn't the demand. There wasn't the people that were showing up. And now it's just so much bigger. There's so many more people. And, there's a line going out the door. And part of that is because of COVID, but part of that is because there's just so many people trying to get in. So no, I don't see it slowing down. The fact that there's a show every weekend is interesting because it's showing the demand, but the fact that there's people showing up and it's not watering it down to where, there's not enough people to go every single weekend. And then I saw on the DM for the Diamond Sports Collectibles show, which was 2 weeks ago, as soon as he texted after the show ended saying, hey, who's ready to go for the next one next month? 20 DMs came in from all the dealers saying, yep, I need my table. And then other people too. I mean, the demand to set up at shows and to go to shows is just through the roof right now. And I don't see it slowing down even as things get started again with the economy and with the nation and the world and stuff like that. I just don't. But that's what I see.
Here's the thing is that the more money that's in cards, the more 10% reduction of fees and of taxes. Of course, you should pay your taxes and all that, but let's be real. You go to card shows, it's cash and you claim whatever you want. But the point is that if $100 card is now $500, now it's not just $10 that you're saving. Now it's $50 that you're saving. And the more cards and the more people that are coming through the doors, the more buyers you potentially have. I see card shows like ballooning this year. And part of it is because before COVID, I was actually doing auto shows around the country. I don't know if friends that were doing that because it's very popular with actors and hosts is to be an independent contractor and then work for Toyota or Lexus or whoever and travel to about 15 cities around the country to do these auto shows. And some cities, they were really small. They were like 2 cars and a little setup in San Jose. And then you'd go to a bigger city like Houston or Dallas, and it would be a bigger setup and there'd be more cars and more people in this. But then there were a few shows around the year, which is New York, LA, Chicago, and Miami. Those are the majors where this was a full production. We're talking like huge multi-million-dollar sets, and there was press releases, and it was kind of like a giant event, and it would last 10 days long. But it was such a big thing that people would go, and there would be autograph signings. There would be, you can drive a Jeep up a mountain and do all this. And I think to myself, why, for one, I think the National could be a twice a year thing. I could easily see that. One's East Coast, one's West Coast. But also, if cards are worth so much more, shouldn't that bring in, let's say, ESPN to do a sports center from it, or to do other things where they could really have a lot more than just cards and just people selling cards, like actual exhibits and actual contests and stuff like that. So, to me, I'm totally just seeing that, and I hope I'm not wrong, because I had more fun going to that card show and just meeting people than most of what I'm doing online, because that face-to-face interaction was finally satisfied versus just imagining all these people here in the comment section and not being able to see them. So, but with that being said, though, let's dive into local deals, right? If you are in a big city, obviously this is going to be easier, but I noticed that you do a lot of your deals with Burbank Sports Cards and with people here in LA. And that is something that I'm not too familiar with, because ever since COVID, it's been buy on eBay, sell on eBay, CompC, Star Stock. So walk us through how it all started with Burbank Sports Cards, as well as just finding other deals in your backyard.
Yeah, so I had been on IG in late 2018. I started an IG account for basketball cards. Found there was a big presence of people on there. Started listening to Cardboard Chronicles. So I started getting involved in the IG, like the Instagram community and stuff, like following people and having people follow me and DMing people about their cards and stuff. And then I started going to the card shops in the area, because I'd already been living in LA for a couple of years now, but I hadn't really gone to the card shops in the area. So I started investigating all the card shops, and I found a card that I really wanted that was owned by Burbank Sports Cards on their eBay. So I was like, I bet I can go in there, work out a little cash deal for the card, and they save some money, I save some money. So I went in, talked to Ryan, lowballed him on a card. He declined. I even was like, look, I got the cash right here. And he was like, no. Sure enough, a day later, he sold it on eBay for a really nice amount. And then I just kept going back, and because I saw their display cases and what they had. And Ryan was a younger dude who normally you don't see, a dude in his mid-20s running a card shop. Usually it's an older gentleman, isn't really up to date with comps and prices and being able to trade or anything like that. And Ryan was very fair on his pricing, and he was very fair on his buying. He would buy cards from me, and then we would trade and everything. And he was very fair on it. He was as fair, if not more fair, than if you just go to a trade night or a trade fest, or you what's up, Sasha? Or you mess around with somebody on Instagram and you do some trading there. So I just kept going back to Ryan at Burbank Sports Cards, and that relationship just kept growing because we kept doing deals together. And we've probably done thousands of deals in the last 2 years, just me and Ryan together. And mostly as of late, it's because I go in there 3 or 4 times a week. And every time I'm in there, I'm like, I want to do a deal. Like whether it's a small one for a $1 card or whether it's for a $1,000 card, because like at the end of the day, like I just like doing deals with Ryan. It's almost like a friendship. It's almost just like, hey, let's make a deal happen, because it's fun. And it's like, it's like a game. It's like trading. It's like you used to do when you were kids, when you were trading cards and stuff. And so, and now it's to the point where Ryan will just ask me, what's it worth? What's the card worth that you want? Okay, cool. Like I'll tell him the values, like, because he trusts me so much. Like we have such an understanding. We have such a trust together that literally like we're not sitting there on our phones even checking comps to see if the other one's getting one on over on the other one, you know? I mean, like in little ways, we'll you know, subtly try to get the better deal and stuff, but like there's just so much trust here because of all the deals we've done and everything. And you know, I'm a pretty loyal person. I kind of find my people and I stick with them and stuff. And Burbank, I think beyond loyalty, like Burbank is just bar none in my opinion. Like it's not even close. They're the best card shop in LA.
Well, you know, I know there. Yeah, I know we're distracted here, but Sasha is in the house. Everybody, and yeah, I briefly got to meet Sasha, and they were just. It looks like they were having a great time. They were selling cards, like people were flocking to their tables, and when I saw how much fun everyone was having and the business that was being done, I'm like, I can't wait to sell. Because also, I remember seeing the tables were $35. I'm like, this is basically free considering what cards are now. But going back to your story with how you got to know Ryan. Everyone that is watching, whether you know you're in a smaller town or you're in a big city, you could benefit from these types of relationships locally, because if you can just call up Ryan and you know that there's someone that is going to be fair with you, right? I just believe, like, you know, when you're fair with the other person, they're fair with you, then you can do business forever, right? It's only when someone gets the feeling that they're being taken advantage of or vice versa that it's going to end at some point. How do you recommend someone starting that relationship with their local card shop or with some sort of you know, bulk supplier that lives locally? Because I was always under the assumption that it would be very hard to get in the door and kind of start building that. And so I just was like, all right, well, eBay is very transactional. I could just buy for this price because these are the comps, and then I'll sell. But obviously that takes away a lot of the fun, as well as, you know, you have the fees, the shipping. USPS loses 5% of my packages, and then I have to hunt them down. So how do we just start that process, whether it's here in LA or just somewhere else in the country?
Well, I'd recommend going to card shows, going to trade nights trade nights will come back. But going to card shows, talking to dealers. I'd always say too, like a big rule of thumb, like with anything in life, go where you're treated best. Like go where people are nice to you, fair with you, and treat you like a human being, and don't disrespect you and don't treat you unfairly. And so if that means you go around at a card show and just talk to every dealer, and then there's a couple that like are really respectful and fair with you and you just kind of connect with, maybe those end up being the ones that you do deals with. Like there's times in the hobby where there's some people that I don't really exactly jive with, or whatever, one thing happened or whatever, and I will literally miss out on that opportunity to go do a less better deal with somebody that I really like or have connected with and stuff. And so I would say go to card shows. I would say, you know, follow people on Instagram, be active on Instagram, engage with people, you know, try to make trades and stuff. At the end of the day, like if you're trying to make trades with someone who's really big on Instagram, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but like, you know, I would just say be active, because if you find people on Instagram or get people off of eBay or meet people at card shows, you're going to be establishing connections one way or another. And then it all just kind of snowballs and naturally goes from there. Like I didn't go to Burbank 2 years ago and do a couple of deals thinking that I was going to be doing thousands of deals with Ryan over the next 2 years. It just naturally, organically happened. And so I'd say just go out, have fun, you know, find people that treat you right, treat you fair, respect you, and are willing to, you know, work with you.
In terms of what is fair, I think that's a big topic, because I have my idea of what's fair, right? And what I've heard, and it's more like some people agree, some people are like, yeah, but it's not always the case, is market value is usually determined by eBay on a lot of the cards, right? I mean, I don't know of a better platform to pluck data from than eBay. Of course, some cards are rare and you're not going to see the movement in a couple of weeks or months, but for the majority of Prism rookies, you look on eBay and you see the charts go up and down. And for me, the idea is whatever the last couple sales are in the last week, whatever that average is, roughly that minus 10%, if I'm selling, or minus 10% buying, is what I think of as fair. Like, what are the other trains of thoughts? Or if you're talking with a seller that doesn't agree with that pricing, what would be some of their arguments to actually determine a fair price? Is there anything that I'd be missing?
Okay, so when I first started getting into getting people off of eBay and Instagram and everything like that, because in the past, a couple of years ago, like maybe like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, when I would get people off of eBay, I would just say like, okay, look, you're saving 13%. So cut off 10% of the price right now and give it to me at that. That, in my opinion, is dead. Like that's done. Because at the end of the day, like if you know what you're doing, you can get more than 90% value for your cards because there's enough demand for it. So like people on Instagram all day long will pay like 100% comps on eBay for the right stuff. So like if it's a Luca Prism or something that's very common, 10% off, absolutely. Why not? Like that in my opinion is a fair deal. But for stuff that's a little bit harder to find, or for anything in that matter, if someone doesn't want to sell it for, 10% off, in my opinion, that's fine. But there's common ground there. So maybe 5% off. Maybe like, hey, I'm doing a cash deal. Like, yeah, I get it's kind of rare and stuff, but like I need a little bit of a break on it. So can you do 5% off, or can you do 3 or 4% off? Like depending on the card and stuff. So that's something that I would consider, just because on Instagram, like, I'm talking about it again, but it's a little bit dead. Like it's like, cause I get people all the time that are kind of starting out and they're like, hey, would you do this off of eBay for 10% under what it's going for, since like you can save on fees? And it's like, I could, but I could also just sell it for what it's worth to somebody on Instagram or at a show. So I don't have a lot of motivation or incentive to sell it for 10% less than what it's worth, unless I really want to sell it.
Right. I think that comes down to the supply on eBay as well. It's like, if that is the only listing on eBay, it might actually just be 20% above the last sale, just because people are like, oh my God, that card only hits eBay once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. There was a bunch of 2014 Prism, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, their first Prism cards that were just all over eBay over in November and December. And I was just gobbling up as many as I could, because if you look at the charts, it was just like the bottom of the ocean. It was just like flat, flat, flat. It had not gone up. But I also know that I was able to put in offers and get them for 105, 110, 115, a bit lower, because there were just so many available. And it was a time where people had them for sale and no one wanted to buy them. But now it's the bit of the opposite, where I'm selling them for about 250 to 270 each, because now it's like everyone wants them. And so I'm not motivated to go down 10% if someone offered, because I believe I can get full price and then sell the next one even higher. So I think I see it as like a nice rule of thumb. But like another example I had was, I have 5 Klay Thompson PSA 10 Prisms, and I don't believe this is the time to sell at a discount. I think for him, it's just going to go up because he's already injured. So it's not like, unless he gets injured again, it's going to be like, all right, you're going to come back. You're probably going to be in Space Jam 2. I remember seeing those articles. So there's more upside than downside. And that's where I think, either if I put it for sale, I wouldn't budge on the price. It wouldn't be current price. It would be knowing that it ought to go up from here on over the next couple months. But I just wanted to get your take on that. Now, for someone that is looking to go to a card show and sell, right? I think there's a lot of money to be made, a lot of fun to be had. You've never sold at a card show before. Where do you start? What's the first thing you do? And what are some of the tips that you would start with?
If you're setting up, or if you're just going to the show? If you're setting up.
Well, let's do setting up first, and then any tips you have for just going to the show.
So if you're setting up and you want to sell at a card show, first, it'd be nice to have cases if your cards are high value items. But you don't need cases at all, especially if your cards are maybe under a couple $100s or something like that. Just lay them out on the table. That's totally fine. Price tags, in my opinion, I'm a price tag guy. Some people don't like putting prices on their stuff because they want people to ask so they can start to engage and, get a conversation going and everything like that. That's fine. Me personally, when I walk up to a booth and there's not price tags on the cards, I find that annoying. I don't like to have to ask what your asking price is on it. I wouldn't mind saying like, hey, can you do better on that and get a different price from you? But I do not want to be walking up having to ask what the price is for every single card. I'd much rather see. So I'd put price tags. In my opinion, I would put price tags on your stuff. Whether you raise the price a little bit higher baking in the fact that people are going to want a deal, that's totally fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. If a card's only worth $100, there's nothing wrong with asking $110 for it, knowing that the person's probably going to offer 90 or 100 or whatever. Maybe have change on you just in case. I'd say be friendly. Maybe don't, some people are like, do I stand up the whole time or do I sit down? Me personally, I'm kind of one that I don't think it matters too much, but I think that you're more approachable when you're standing up. But yeah, I would just say, bring cards and everything. And again, like you can't, there's only so much you can do to encourage sales and everything for your cards. But I would, I would just make things neat, be approachable, like, and that's about it. Other than that, like, you're kind of depending on people walking up and buying things. But yeah, maybe read like The Greatest Salesman in the World or something like that and get some motivation to go with it.
Well, what was in that book? Anything special that you read? I love that kind of stuff. How to Win Friends and Influence People, all that good stuff.
It's basically taking an interest in the buyer, right? Taking an interest in, if you see it like in a genuine interest too. There's a difference between compliments and flattery, right? Compliments is like a genuine, like, oh, you know what, man? I love that blue shirt you're wearing. Blue's my favorite color. And like it just looks like it has a nice feel to it and it fits you really well. That's a nice shirt, man. Like that.
So thank you.
It's Lululemon. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually.
Here in LA. I'm in LA too, man. This is all we wear.
You're probably sponsored by them. But, if they're wearing like a Phoenix Suns hat, I'd be like, oh, dude, Phoenix Suns fan, you see the game last night? Like Devin Booker is like really cool. And then you guys get talking and stuff. And then like that to me is how that's where sales begins, is when you take an interest in the other person. You start talking. It might not even be about your cards. And then they look at your cards. I can't tell you how many times I've just been at a card show behind a booth and somebody walks up and somehow we start a conversation. We end up talking for 15 minutes. And then they look down at the cards and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, oh, hey, like, and then all of a sudden we make a deal and they buy a card off me. And they can say they really wanted the card, but I know for a fact, because I do it personally, if that happens to me and I'm the buyer, I will look around and try to find a card to buy because I like the person. And there are people that come up, like, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything. There are people that come up to my booth and they want to buy from me the same way I go to Burbank Sports Cards and I want to buy from them.
It's the same thing as like, I think any sort of sales where if you're selling a car on Craigslist and it's like the really nice person comes and you're willing to give a lower price because you're like, oh man, this 16-year-old kid reminds me of when I was a kid. And there's like a part where we want to sell to someone else that we like and we want to buy from someone else we like. We're like, I hope you have something in my range. Like I'm even willing to sacrifice the lowest price or something that I thought was important before because I'm finding extra value in the satisfaction of doing business with you. And I think another big point you brought up is if you're approachable and friendly and you start the conversations, if you are going to shows in the same town or city every week or 2 weeks or a month, you're going to see the same people. So even if they don't buy from you today, maybe you have nothing and it's just like, hey man, what's your name? Nice to meet you. See you around. It doesn't mean that you won't have a great business interaction and transaction a month or 2 months or 6 months in the future. And I think that's also the power that if you're in a medium or bigger city or you're driving distance to a decent sized card show, this is it. I mean, like this is like the time to start building those relationships because you get a couple numbers from the card show and then maybe you're doing business in between and then you just link up during that next card show to exchange cards and exchange money. But I see this as such a huge win all around because everything I've been complaining about with scams and PayPal trying to honor someone's return from 5 months after the transaction was over and the eBay fees and USPS hunting down these packages, if any of that could be reduced, might as well. But then also when you can go back to the joy of the trade. Like one of my biggest memories as a kid was meeting some stranger kid in a McDonald's where I don't know if it was an online forum or if he was, I don't know where I met this kid before, but I was probably 10 or 11 years old. And me and my mom went to McDonald's. Him and his mom went to McDonald's. My mom and his mom had, were talking off in the distance and me and him were trading cards for an hour. right? I remember that. I don't remember what card I got. I don't remember what we did, but I just remember looking at his lineup of cards. He was looking at mine, and we were working out deals. And that same type of joy was rekindled at the show, where just talking about and seeing and then coming up with those deals is part of the fun. And I want you to talk about that deal you got on that Kobe card, because I thought it was so creative the way that you were able to manage it. And it also helps us open our mind to types of deals that aren't just this card for this amount of money, but instead using different types of desires and what different people want to really string together a deal that all parties are happy with. So tell us about that card you got at the last show, the Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, so I picked up a Kobe auto at the show. It was a gentleman named Dar who walked up with his son Donovan. They walked up because they recognized Sasha, obviously, which is always like, kind of cool when someone walks up and recognizes Sasha, because then, maybe like some business can happen for me at the table because I'm like with Sasha and associated with Sasha. So that's always great. They were talking about the Kobe card. They were trying to appraise the value of it. There was another great Kobe auto collector there named Dennis. He was also appraising the value with them. It was a really hard one to place because it hadn't sold publicly in 2 years. They came up with the value for what they thought it was worth. I personally thought that value was low, and I thought that if that's what the value is worth, I will buy that card right now. So they were having a conversation on their own, Sasha and Dar. I was sitting there very patiently, waiting my turn to try to talk to Dar, but they were very engaged. Dar was not breaking eye contact, so I just waited my turn. And when there was a break in the conversation, I said, "Excuse me, sir, I would like to make a cash offer for your card if you're open to offers." And he said, "Yeah, what's your cash offer?" And so I made my cash offer. It was a very strong offer, in my opinion. It was probably about 20 or 30% above what they were appraising the card to be worth, because I was confident in the card. And he said, "Thank you, that's a good offer, but I'd rather have cards instead." So I said, "Well, I'm very open to trade. This is my display right here of cards. And then Sasha has cards as well. If there's a card you like of Sasha, I'm very happy to work out a deal where I buy the card from Sasha and then I trade it to you for the Kobe auto." He wasn't able to find any cards that he liked in either one of our cases, but he informed me that there was a card that he liked a couple booths away. That was a Magic Johnson, not rookie card, but Magic Johnson Fleer 1986 PSA 10. I knew the dealer that had it. I've worked plenty of deals with that dealer. So I told Dar, "Hey, look, I want that Kobe auto. I would like to make a deal for it. I'm going to help you get that card you want, and we're going to figure this out." And he said, "Okay, cool." So we walked up to that table. He said, "Look, I already made a really strong offer on that card to the dealer. He did not accept it." So I said, "I know him. Let me try to talk to him." I went up, made an offer. He declined. I was a little bit frustrated by it because I have a relationship with him. Of course, it's his card. He's welcome to decline it. But I kind of just told him "Hey, look, I'd really like to make this deal happen. And if there's anything you can do, that'd be great." So he gave me his best price, and I talked with Dar and I said, "Okay, if we do this, I'll be giving him half the money. You'd have to give him the other half of the money. Then you get the card. Then I get your card." And Dar was like, "Let me think about it for a second." Him and Donovan talked. They were like, "Okay, cool. Let's do it." So we paid the other dealer, got the card, did the trade, exchanged information. After the show was done, I texted Dar and just said, "Look, man, thank you so much again. I just enjoy this card so much. I'm so happy that I got it." He texted back. He was like, "Thank you again too. Really enjoy how I did as well. And be talking to you soon." And bam, there's another, a connection, or what I like to say is a friend has been made. So, that's how it went down. It's always fun because for me, sometimes it's more interesting when it is a challenge like that. And I utilized a lot of tools that I've learned. But the most important one is the will. When you have the will to get the card, you start getting creative. And I think it's anything in life that I've learned up to this point, that when you have the will and the desire, you really figure out a way. And I think it goes back to that, because we're both Dave Ramsey guys. It goes back to that quote, when desire comes to get out of debt, you become, the gazelle eluding the cheetah the fowl eluding the hand of the hunter when desire comes. And so, yeah, that's how it went down.
That's cool. And it reminds me too of another quote where it's like a lot of people say why not, or say why, and then you say why not. And I think those are just the people that look at an opportunity like that as, okay, this is a challenge. This is a challenge that I can accomplish that other people will benefit from, because every side has got to feel like they won, but it's just not very clear. So here's the puzzle. How can I solve it? And it also makes me think of the trades we see in NBA and in NFL, where you have those 3-team trades where it's like 2 draft picks are going to this team because this team has no salary cap. This other team has a lot of salary cap. You have a 1 star that's disgruntled here, and how do you move the disgruntled star to the team that he could win a championship on, and the draft picks can go the other direction, and then this player can. And it's cool because when you figure that out and you have that mindset of, okay, this is what I want, and now I can ask what they want and what they want, and now the wheels start turning. How do you get what you want, I get what I want, and this person gets what they want, and we all benefit? And then at least when you keep your mind open and you look at it that way, there's a good chance, or at least a chance, that it's going to happen. And not necessarily will every time, but at least then it kind of challenges your creative your juices to start flowing, in your creative side to go, how do I solve this problem? And I think it's just very good problem solving skills or creativity. Anything else in terms of negotiation or communication that has really helped you?
Never Split the Difference by
Chris Voss.
Yeah, that's a great one. I think there's so many great things about communicating in there as far as negotiating goes, but I think the most important thing with negotiating is just not pretending, but really, 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 really just making sure that you're understanding where the other person is coming from, and communicating that to them, that you see where they're at. And he talks about trying to get them to say, that's right, that's exactly right. When you get them to say that's exactly right, you know that you're kind of like in with them, and there's progress that can happen from there. And so it really is just trying to understand where someone else is coming from. And when you can do that, usually you can break some ground.
Okay, so let's flip it over to the other side. If you are going to a card show first time and you are just a buyer, right? You're just going to look around. What are some tips for someone that's going to their first card show in maybe 20 years and they don't know what to expect, but they want to have a good time? They hopefully want to pick up some cards. Anything that could maybe ease the nerves or help them along? I know I was overwhelmed by the amount of cards. It's not really organized. It's just kind of like vendor here, vendor here. It is a lot of like going around and just seeing. And in terms of the pricing, I wish more vendors had their prices, just because I'm that person that likes to look from afar, not necessarily ask until at least I have an idea as to where the prices are at. Because, sometimes I just want to look and I don't want to start a conversation every single time. I'm more introverted like that. So if you are going in, any tips you have for getting what you want out of the show?
Well, this is one thing I do as a buyer when I go to any show or trade night. There's you only have a finite amount of time, and there's way too many cards, right? So I watched your video, by the way, and it was great what that gentleman was saying that you met. I didn't get his name.
Yeah, LeBron, LA Collection on Instagram. He might still be in watching this. He was here earlier, but he was right in front of me in line, and then he just made the video.
Yeah. So he talked about going around and checking everything out first, which I think is great. Like you use the buffet line, right?
Dude, that's what I can relate to. You walk in and it's like all you can eat, and it's just like, all right, well, I know I can only fit so much in my stomach, but I want to make sure I have the best foods in there. So I go around, I look at everything at first, and then pick out the ones that look best. And then for the second plate, I know exactly what I want. But
yep. So I would do that. I would definitely do that first. I think there's so much value in doing that, because it's taking a temperature of what's going on in the room and what's available. There he is. What's up, Levon? And another thing that I would do is I would find maybe the 3 or 4 tables that have maybe the best stuff, or the stuff that's best for you, that you maybe want to work with and stuff. And I'd look at the prices on their price tags, or I'd ask them about a price on a card. But what I would do is I would find a card that I know very well. Maybe I even own the card. I know the prices of that card to a T, and I see what they have it priced at. And if it's like a Luca Prism 10, which is like a $1,300 card, and they have it priced at $1,250, I'm going to say, okay, this is a table I want to hang around for a second, because he's fairly priced already. He might even give better deals, or maybe he's just priced to sell and that's where he's at, but he's trying to sell. Because some dealers, they're not really trying to sell. They say they're trying to sell, but they're just trying to sell for like crazy prices. Or if there's no price tag, I'll find a card, and I do this at trade nights and everything like that too, because at the end of the day at a trade night, if you're sifting through a bunch of people's cards, they're like, hey, you want to trade? You're like, cool, let me see what you got. You look through all their stuff, and you're like, oh, there's like 5 cards I want here. What do you want for this one? And they go, oh, 20% above comps. You're like, well, why'd I just spend all this time looking through all this stuff? So if they don't have price tags, I'd look at their cards. I'd find one that I know exactly what the price is. I'd say, what do you want for that? And if they give me some price that's like, I know, like, it's just ridiculous, I'm going to just say, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I'm going to go to the next one where there's stuff that I want to get and do the same thing and see who is willing to play ball, who is willing to give me a little bit of an advantage as a buyer. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, if you're bringing cash to a show, like, that's buying power, and cash is king. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Cards are great, and I run very lean on cash. I like to have cards because cards to me are assets that go up in value, but cash is king. If you have cash, it's better than any card in the building. It just is, because it's the one thing that everybody wants. So that's an advantage to have cash, and if someone is willing to give you a special deal because of that, you should be working with them.
Have you noticed any advantages of later in the card show, as in like in the late afternoon before closing up, or is that more reserved for the national or these longer shows where you'd have to be lugging cards back to your home city? Like, I don't know if a local show here, people would be motivated to sell when it's just 20 miles away from home and they're going to be there next week. Is that something that you've seen works, or a variation?
Yes, absolutely. But again, it might not work on everybody, but you don't know the dealer that didn't sell anything that day. And he was going there hoping to sell for at least $1,000 worth of stuff or something, because he needs to pay that bill. You don't know when that happens to anybody. So that does work. It might not work all the time, but you know, like the last minute of a show, absolutely go around. I know that's something that I always try to do. But at the end of the day, like, you know, most dealers understand that trick, so they're not going to hand out deals just because people are doing it, but you never know. You know, at the end of the day, like, if I don't have good sales and then somebody walks up at the end of the show and they offer me, you know, they're trying to get a deal and they get cash for a card, I'm going to be a lot more interested in making that deal because I didn't have any sales that day. So,
and I was wondering if it made more sense to go early where you have first dibs at the cards, where it's like, hey, I'm in first thing and I get to see it all. If I'm going towards the end, some of the best stuff could be out the door already, but the stuff that remains, maybe there's a better deal. I wasn't sure if there was an advantage for one versus the other, or if it's just the trade-off of first in and you see everything, but perhaps they are stronger on their prices, knowing that it's earlier in the day, versus going in the late afternoon and they're a bit worn down. They might be more flexible, but the best stuff's gone. Is there anything I'm missing there?
I can't tell you how much more valuable it is to get there as fast as possible, like even before the show starts, like sneak in or whatever you got to do so you can see everything and see what's available. Because at the end of the day, this market is moving so fast, someone is going to mess up as far as their price tag, and they will accept that price without checking comps. So I can't tell you how many times I've walked in at the beginning of a show and gotten a card for $400 with a price tag of $400 that was actually worth $600 or $800, you know, just because the card just went up like 2 days ago and they still had the price tag on it from 2 weeks ago. And they were just like, it's a Jeter rookie card. Like, these never go up in value or something, you know? So there's a lot of value in that, but that's why I'm a card, you know, I do this for a living and stuff. So I'll be there first thing, but then I'll also be there at the end. So I'll try and take advantage of both sides of it, but there's no wrong way. It's just, you're going to miss out on those deals that just get gobbled up right at the beginning. You're going to miss out on a lot of those really good cards that you may be looking for because everyone else is looking for them too. But on the other side of it is getting there late. Yes, there is the opportunity for getting deals and stuff, but I would say there's more opportunity for getting deals at the beginning of a show. I would definitely say that.
Okay, so it's not only seeing more cards period earlier on, but having that chance of someone mispricing a card and being able to get that before. Okay, so the thing, there's questions here about NBA Top Shot that I want to ask you about. HCG, which I've covered with other guys in the past, but I just want to get your take on this new grading company, if there's anything you see there or what your angle is. But the other thing is, if you're at a card show, there's also 50 other vendors or however many there was at that other show, and then at Westman or Fullerton and the others. And I'm thinking these are the people I also want to know too, because they might be selling now, but they're also the ones with a lot of inventory that maybe I'm looking for a certain card and I could at least tell them, hey, if you guys ever find this card or you know someone that has it, let me know. I thought there'd be a lot of opportunity with the other vendors. Can you explain what your experience has been with making friends and doing business with the other vendors there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, with other vendors and stuff, the more you see them, it's, there's this book that I was reading, and it's along the lines of like how to be friends with anybody or something. But there's like some principles of like duration, intensity, basically, and proximity, basically like on how you get people to like you. Oh, that's what it was. It was the FBI agent or something that was like, which one? No, it wasn't that one. It was one. He was an FBI agent that would go. He would have to like go undercover and become friends with like criminals and stuff like that. And so he was able to figure out like a formula of how you get to be friends with people. And it's basically like it's proximity, duration. So proximity meaning how close you are to the person physically. So at a card show, you're close to people, right? Duration, how long you're there with them. Intensity, are you talking? Are you having like passionate discussion, stuff like that? And there was another one as well. But the whole point of it being the more you're around people, like whether you say any like 2 words to them or not, all of a sudden you're going to start to like them. You're going to just be like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Like it could be the guy that you see at Starbucks every single day. You've never said a word to him. But like if he was like, hey man, how you doing? Like, and asked you for a favor, you'd be like, oh yeah, for sure. I feel like I know you. So yeah, I mean, a lot of those people that set up there and stuff, like I'm not super close with them, but I know them and, I feel like they would look out for me. I feel like if anybody tried to pull a fast one on my table and steal a card and they saw it, they would jump on it immediately because they feel some ownership of their space as well as my space as well. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say that was my biggest fear is that, man, I pee once an hour. With the intermittent fasting, I crush coffee and water. So I'm like, if I set up, I need someone to watch my table because I'm going to hit that bathroom every hour, or I'm going to have to wear like an adult diaper or something to get by. But that's good to know. Before we head off over to the other couple topics, and I want you to pick the winner. We're going to do that next, actually. Any other final words on advice for card shows or anything else that's on your mind regarding that?
Yeah, if you're going to set up, make sure your phone is charged or you have a portable charger. Your phone is your most important tool that you have for the entire show, for checking out comps, texting people, whatever. Also, to go along with your pissing problem, have somebody else at the table. Like, just set up with somebody. Have a friend or your mom or your little brother, whatever. Have somebody come with you to watch the table. The first time I ever set up at a card show, I flew to Chicago for the Spectacular November 2019. I went by myself because I really wanted to set up, and I forgot to just set up with somebody. So I was literally stuck at the table the whole time. I'd ask people I barely even knew to watch my table and stuff like that. If you can have somebody there to set up with, do it. Okay, that's awesome. Definitely would want to do that. Just I think it'd be good for a little break too, just to walk around and get some, look at cards, see what's going on, things like that. Okay, a couple of questions here. There was one comment in here about, I think it was from Phil asking about Aaron Judge. Those were cards I had bought back in November, and then in my email, it was around November, December, I got those Aaron Judge rookie cards. They're on eBay now for sale for like 2.5x what I paid. So I'm not saying buy these Aaron Judges now in any of my content. That was
in November when I wish I bought more of everything because all the prices were so damn cheap, and now everything's going through the roof. On to HCG. Obviously, you must know about it. It's a new company that is using technology and really cool-looking slabs to match their color to the card or to the jersey. What are your thoughts on this company?
I don't know of the company. I've heard of the company. What you just told me as far as their new technology and their new slabs is about as much information as I have ever heard about the company. Not saying anything bad about the company. I don't know it. I think best of luck. To compete with a brand name like PSA, I'd say it's like, to me, it's like Moneyball a little bit. Like, you better come at it in a really, really well thought out and creative way to try to, do that, because I don't understand how you would ever compete with PSA or BGS for that matter.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat where I'm like, this is such a crazy period right now. And just getting back into cards in February is literally a year ago. What has happened in the last 3 to 4 months compared to a year ago is incredible. And I just feel like there's too much dust in the air and I need to wait for it to settle. Kind of like when cannabis exploded, every idea seemed like a good idea. And I just had to wait and see what will actually last, what will actually get through just the novelties ending. And this company does this. PSA decides, hey, we're going to do colored slabs. Boom. What does that do to HGG? PSA buys out SGC, and they said, all right, we can now do turnaround times in half the amount of time. I just want to see like where the dust is going to settle. And that takes me to NBA Top Shot, which is something that I looked at back in November. I got to give Vegas Fine 777 some credit because he introduced me to this way before this exploded. I looked at it. A rep reached out and said if I wanted to be an affiliate and this. And I'm like, I just don't understand it. I got to wait for this to last a year before I could actually form an opinion, because right now everything has a chance. But if I don't love it off the bat, then what am I supposed to think? And obviously I looked at it like a collectible, which I think that was a bit wrong because it's not really a collectible, but it is an investment vehicle to many. And I feel like that's where people are really looking at it. But what's your take on NBA Top Shot? How are you viewing it? Is there any interest, or just something that you don't really care about at this point?
I just don't know it. So, I mean, the short answer is I don't care about it, but the long answer is I just don't know about it. Even I was just talking with Sasha and Shia on Sports Card Talk, and I literally on the talk was just like, so I've been told this a few times, but please explain to me again, what is this? I just don't understand it. I know that some people have done really well in it. I think kudos to them. I didn't understand Bitcoin at all when it was popping off, and I still don't understand Bitcoin. And so I will get in eventually to Bitcoin, and I will be very, very late to the party, but I will dabble as I get into it. And I'll probably be doing it for more of like a long-term, like I'll be able to use this cryptocurrency and I really believe in it going forward. Whereas NBA Top Shot, I don't understand it. I really, it seems like I don't know what it seems like. All I know is a lot of money has been dumped into it, like a lot. Like from what I've heard, as much money that's been going into cards has been going into NBA Top Shot, which to me is staggering. But for me, I'm doing just fine off of doing sports cards. I don't need to take any crazy risks that I don't understand. I'm not saying it's a risk. All I'm saying is it's super, super hot right now. I know nothing about it. And whenever something is super, super hot and I know nothing about it, I do not get in. I just don't. Yeah,
to me, it strikes me as I can't tell if it's novelty and excitement or if it's legit. But I think of all the new things that come out, there's like 5% maybe that actually is legit and not a trend. And I always think back to a couple things. 10 years ago, I'm buying these Affliction shirts and looking like a total D-bag down in Tampa with my Ed Hardy hat, Affliction shirt. And I'm like, this is cool. This is going to last forever. I thought that was a staple. No, that was a trend. It lasted 2 years, and then everyone got rid of it. And they're like, oh, my God, that was the silliest thing ever. And then
quick, I still have Ed Hardy windshield coverings or sun blocking.
So before Ed Hardy sold out to Ross, where you could buy like Ed Hardy like keychain, Ed Hardy like, I don't know, flask or like bottle opener or like refrigerator magnet, it was actually a pretty expensive brand. And then they just went like, all right, we're about done. So we're going to license everything. So I remember that. And that's what makes me think, all right, is NBA Top Shot a staple or is it just a trend? The other example I got was, and you might know this, you might actually have a pair of these as well, are those Vibram shoes, those finger shoes.
Huge on them. Huge on them.
So I remember that came out like 8 years ago or something like that. And it was, this is better for your feet. When you run with this, it's so much better. And I'm like, these things look freaking hideous. But maybe this is it. There's science. There's tech. Everything is saying this is better for you. These runners are wearing them. They look like scuba divers that are just like escape the water and then they're running around. And I thought that was going to replace shoes or running shoes. All running shoes were now going to be Vibrams because there was technology, there was science, everything saying that this is better. And then I realized, oh, no. There's still science and some people still love them, but that was just their moment in the sun. And then other people wear normal New Balance and Nikes and Reeboks and whatever else. So I'm a lot more critical of new things just because I know the vast majority will die off. And so NBA Top Shot, I just still don't know what to think of it. There was one comment here about NFL Top Shot, and I probably would get into it for that first period because I would think, all right, I could see this exploding for a month, 2 months, 3 months, but long term, I have no clue. So I wouldn't be surprised if NFL does their own version, and if the prices are cheap, I'd probably go in on a couple Tom Brady moments and just throw it in there and see what happens.
I think real quick to jump onto it too, I think there's something to be said for things that have been around for at least 100 years. Sports cards have been around for 100 years. Gold, silver, stocks, I guess technically, I don't know if they've been around 100 years, but you know what I mean? Like there's something to be said about stuff like that, staples like you're talking about. So I'm fine with just doing sports cards, and I'll just buy Tom Brady rookie cards.
Dude, same here. And like when it boils down to it, I'm still looking at real estate as my end all, right? Like I would love for the apartment complex in Vegas to be able to pay all my bills so I could just do all the sports cards for fun and that be it, just because everyone at the end of the day needs a roof over their head, right? Like, so to me, I would rather, if I'm excited about all these things, I'd rather go to the tried and true versus I have to play hot potato with this. I have to get in and out very quickly because I need to make sure I time it perfectly versus cards have been around forever. Yeah, this is a pretty amazing streak we're on, but it has lasted the test of time, and there's the nostalgia, there's the generational, there's all that kind of stuff. Before you go, I know we're running out of time here. I wanted you to pick the final winner of my 10K giveaway, which there's one spot that was not redeemed. So let me share my screen here. These were the semifinalists. Let me see if I could do this. And let's see here. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. Coleman is going to pick one of these answers here. These were the runner-up answers. And whoever you pick, they will have up until Sunday, I'll say Sunday at noon Pacific time to reach out to me. I'll give directions on their comments. They have until Sunday at noon Pacific time until I have to go with someone else. But here are the ones to consider. Jay Holmes asks, or Jay Holmes' answer to what do sports cards mean to me? Brings me back to card shows with my mother. Note, she passed away in 2011. Joe G, sports cards make me a better person. Final answer. Joey Monson, a way to pay off my father's mortgage. Ryan Sadalier Ed, rekindling old passion and share globally to better relationships. Father back home, brother lives in Somalia and Kenya. William Logue, spectacle, prospect, overjoyed, radiant, tangible, sentimental. It spells sports. Mac, lost my job during COVID. It keeps me sane. And the last one, this bottom one's actually the winner, but this one right here, Joe Porote, the return to childlike wonder and possibility. Times ahead. So do you have one that really sticks out to you?
Yeah, it's Joe's. It's if you go down, it's the return to childlike wonder and possibility. Times ahead.
All right, Joe. Well, you could still thank me for the gift, and everyone else, you could be mad at Coleman that he didn't pick you. That way,
throw it all on me. That's fine.
No, I'm just kidding, man. I appreciate that, and Any final words, man? I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next show. I can't wait to set up. But, there's a lot of great comments in the discussion here. And I just want to make sure people have everything, everything they need to buy at shows, sell at shows, and just get started locally with the card shops in their area or the people that are around them so that it could just be more enjoyable.
Yeah. I would say the more you can do this for the fun and enjoyment out of it, because it's a hobby first and foremost, the better the entire experience is going to be for you. And what's weird about it is the more money you'll actually make. I know it's a weird concept, but like I have to tell myself constantly, like, don't focus on the monetary aspect of this. Focus on the fun and the fact that this is a hobby. And you really can't go wrong that way. And so anytime I've been guided by money, it usually doesn't really work out. But when I've been guided by fun and joy and truth and what I like, it usually works out a lot better. So I'd say just have fun, engage, be active, ask questions, watch content, go to shows, make small plays within your budget. Don't overspend because you're going to just stress yourself out, and practice sound financial principles, because that will allow you to be able to dip into this and have more fun.
And pound the like button. That really helps too. If you hit the like button, that should be one of the principles too. Coleman, where can everyone connect with you?
At Coleman_cards on Instagram.
All right, I think I have that here. There it is. Okay. Anywhere else?
That's really about it. Coleman_cards_IG is my eBay name. And that's about it, man. That's the two best place to connect with me with. IG is the best place. So yeah. And if I don't answer your DM right away, just give me a second. I respond to every single DM.
Awesome. And you're also on Sasha's channel a lot. So definitely check out Sasha's channel. Absorb content from a lot of people, man. It makes you so well-rounded and you learn so much. That's why I love doing this. So Coleman, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I hope to see you at a local show. Definitely say hi to me. Say hi to Coleman if you're in the Southern California area. And if not, we'll see you at a regional show in Texas or in Chicago later this year. So I appreciate you and have a wonderful night, everyone.
Thank you so much, Brad.
Thanks.